Hello and welcome to Online Appliance Tech. Today we're going to show you how to diagnose an electric dryer that has no heat. So if you have a Whirlpool Kenmore or even a Whirlpool, it looks like this. They're all kind of standard. This video is for you. So first thing first is you want to make sure you unplug it. This is 240 volts. So definitely make sure you unplug this. So in this video we'll show you how to disassemble, check the fuse, the electric heater itself, and how to disassemble and basically refurbish your unit. Definitely need to check that out later, that ductwork. So this, and remove the 1/4 screws. They're all the way on around the back, middle. So just remove all those. When you remove this panel though, make sure you are careful because you can easily cut your hand. So just be careful with that. So now I'm going to use the flathead to pry the prongs off the thermal fuse. You're going to put your multimeter on the ohm settings. In a minute, I'll show you. So definitely make sure you have this unplugged, because if you touch this live, you're going to have a nice shock. So remove these two prongs from the fuse, or connections I would say. Usually you can put your flathead in between and wedge it off, but mine is a small flathead, so I got to get a bigger one. But you can get it off like I did. So you put your multimeter on the ohm settings. And as you can see, mine says OL means open line. So if I touch this fuse, it should actually read 0.1 to 0.3. And if it's open line, that's why your dryer is not heating. So this is 0.2, so this is obviously not my problem. However, I do recommend cleaning out this vent here. It gets clogged at the bottom, and this can cause a lot of back heat and actually cause the fuse to blow. So if you do have a bad fuse, make sure your ductwork is good and clean out the vent. This is the heater, the electric heater, so we'll check that now. Same thing with continuity. Have the unit unplugged, and then we'll give you a better light, and hopefully it's not too much. Okay, so we'll hit one prong of the multimeter to the other terminal of the heater, I would say. Now you should get anywhere from 9 to 10 ohms, as this one says 9.72 k ohms, meaning 9,700 and something ohms. So this obviously is my issue. So here's the heater. This is the OEM part. I only recommend the OEM parts for this type of job, high voltage. So let's take this out. This is what it looks like brand new. I will leave this in the description below if you do need one, the OEM part. So once again, you could just take your multimeter and check the terminals on this heater side to side, as you can see on the new heater. And if you get the start over, sorry. So yeah, 9.7 k ohms, which 1 k equals 1,000 ohms, which we're way off. If we check the new one, we have 9.6 to 8 ohms, which is normal. So anywhere from 9 to 10 ohms, that's how it should be. Most of the time on the old one, you can actually see where it's broken. If you do need the thermal fuse, if that's your case, I will leave that in the description below also. And you also have a fuse here that you can check with the multimeter. So right here you have two 1/4 screws. You'll need a 1/4 bit. I usually call it a 1/4 bit, but some people don't like that. And then you'll pry this off with your flathead. And you can wiggle it. Just be gentle with it. And then you can take the other one, get in there, pry it off. If you have a bigger flathead, it's actually easier to pry it off. Mine's a little small on this one. So once you get those off, then we're going to remove the two 1/4 screws. And then we'll just slide the heater down. And like I said, sometimes you can actually look at the heater, which we know is bad because we checked it with a multimeter. But if you don't have a multimeter, you can take it off and actually see if one of these are broken. It's not on the top, but it's probably on the inside, but they'll break apart. So you'll have to remove this from the old heater, this thermostat. So be gentle with it. Pry up a little bit there, and then you'll pry this out to disconnect it from its hole. So now that's out, we can come to the other side and just pry up. Go underneath and just wedge it or pry it upwards, I would say. Because you have to put this on the new heater unless you just buy everything new. And then it's fairly simple. We'll slide it into the underhook this there, and then we'll slide it right over the heat-in element connector. Press it down. That's it. So now we'll just slide it right up underneath the heater housing, I would call it. And you can't really mess this up, just be careful not to cut your fingers. Kind of wiggle it into place and you'll align your two 1/4 screws. So let's go ahead and put these two in. So now let's reconnect the connectors to the heater. So they can only really go on one way. If you're a little uncertain, just take a picture before you get started. And if you're going to have to replace the fuse, say that was your problem, it's pretty simple. It's a 1/4 screw. You'll just remove it, slide it out. I'm replacing this in either or because I would say anywhere from 3 to 6 years, they tend to go out either or, just they get weak. So I'm just going to put one in here so my client doesn't have no additional problems in the future. So it's kind of like just refurbishing the thing in a way. And then you'll just reconnect your two wires to the fuse. So now I'm going to remove the back vent. A lot of times they get clogged and they just can't breathe well, and your dry time takes forever. It also causes a lot of back heat, which destroys the wheels on the inside, which I'll show you later how to take apart. But you have 4 1/4 screws, as you can see here, that I removed. And then at the top you'll move the filter, and then you have 2 Phillips screws that you have to remove. Make sure you hold these screws as you remove them because they can fall into the housing. So now I'm going to press up on the dryer as I pull this out. Be careful because it is sharp, so just don't rub your hand against it. So lift up and wiggle it and then slide it out. And then I'll press up on the dryer, then remove. So this one's really not that bad. A lot of times I'll see these completely clogged, and that's why your dry time takes forever, and then it can actually cause a fire eventually. So make sure you clean this out. And then your blower wheel in there, make sure you clean that out also. So now let's get inside the dryer. So you put your flathead in between and wedge up, and then you can open up the dryer lid. Then you're going to use a 5/16 bit to remove the screws that holds the door into place. But before you move the one on the right, I'm actually using my shoulder to hold the door up as I'm taking this off, but you'll use a flathead and wedge in between. Be careful not to cut your hand, so take your time as you wedge in and then pry out. This is your door switch, so say if your dryer doesn't start, this is probably going to be your problem. Okay. Then you'll take the 5/16 and remove the screw. So now you're going to lift up on the door. You have 2 little latches, I guess it connects into, which I'll show you here at the end of the video how that connects. So since we have the door going, we're going to remove the belt. So this was kind of hard for me to get a good view, so have a little patience with my camera skills, but I'm just trying to help you out. You'll pull this pulley back as it, well, this is kind of hard. With one hand I'm trying to do it. So push the pulley back and then remove the belt from the motor pulley. It's actually easier if you can use 2 hands, but like I'm just doing it with one just so I can get a semi-good camera view. Remove the belt, pull it gently off from the tub, and then you'll pull the tub straight out. So while I'm in here, I'm going to check the wheels. and make sure they're not grinding, squealing, or stuck. And then as you can see here, the motor has a lot of lint. I want to make sure I get this out because that's what locks up the motors, and then you'll have to replace the motor, so we'll clean that up. And these wheels are kind of worn down, so I'll replace them. If you want to replace them, I also will have that in the description below. If you're interested, just click the link and it'll lead to a page. And to get these off is fairly simple. You can use a little pair of clips, which I'll use, but first you have a 5/16 that you'll remove, and then you'll wiggle this little post off, and your little clip you'll save there. The pack will come in one, but it's easier to install. So here are the new wheels, and these are original. That's what I recommend for these. And then let's finish this. So you'll clip this little plastic, I guess we'll call it a plastic clip. It holds the wheels on. So also check the belt too. We offer, you can actually buy a pack with the pulley, the two belts, and everything can come together if you're interested. So let's get that out of the way. The belt actually looked okay. And then just cut these off. And also, when you remove these wheels, make sure you have like a shop rag. If you have any goo or residue, make sure you get that off, all the hair. Just you really want to do it right because you're already working on it, so might as well do it right the first time so you're not coming back and forth. These are actually good dryers. So it's pretty simple. You just slide it over the shaft after you clean it. Make sure there's no type of sticky residue. Like I said, just use a shop rag and clean it real well. But don't put oil on them. That's a myth that I see on YouTube. People say put oil on it. Do not do that because then it'll actually, the lint will stick to it and lock it up. So these clips, this pack comes with 2 new clips. So you'll just press that back over. Real simple. And then, let me see. What did I do with, oh, here it is. So this you'll just slide back over, and then you can use the new one. Let me get the new one. It comes with the pack. It's actually hard to put on there. You gotta press it on there, and it's kind of like a pain. So I'm just going to use the original one because it's already spread out and it'll lock right into place. Then I'll just put my 5/16 bit, screw that into the dryer housing. So now we have the clean wheels, and it's nice. Okay, this is the shaft, so make sure you clean that with a shop rag like this, but do that obviously before you put the new wheels on. So this is how I like to clean it. I use a shop vac and a shop rag. So the shop vac will get the big stuff, and then I'll wipe it and then get the remainder. So that's basically what I do from the front and the back, and it actually makes it look fairly new. Now you can blow your motor out if you like. I'm in the garage, so I'm actually going to blow this one out. If you do it inside the house, you might have a little bit of a mess, so that's up to you. But this way we can get all the lint out of the motor, that way it doesn't lock it up anytime soon. So then I'll come back around and I will vacuum up the remainder. And I also did this to the back, wiped it down as I put my little shop vac to it. So I don't recommend the big shop vacs. It's something small where you get in between, because those big ones are actually hard to get in a little crease. Be careful there with the wiring, just to the top and the sides. Be gentle with the motor, and that's pretty much it. As you can see, I cleaned this out nice. So this dryer should last her a good while now, because we basically redid everything. These 2 vents, the blower's clean, everything's wiped down, and yeah. So now I'm going to slide this back into place. So you have to go underneath the top here and just slide it upwards. Just be careful, don't cut your hand. And then once you get that in, you'll look at the top, make sure it's under the lid, and then line up your 4/4 bit screws. Well, 1/4, my bad. So once you get these 4 in, we will put the top or the back on. So I'm going to vacuum this real quick, and then we'll put this on. I always like to do the top 2 right 1/4 screws first, just to kind of hold it into place, and then I'll put the remainder, but I don't tighten them up all the way because I want to be able to adjust it a little bit. So now we're going to get the pulley into place. You can't really do much now, but just kind of get it into place, into the grooves where you don't have to move that much to put the belt on. So you'll slide the drum in, and there's a little way I like to do it. Let me get down here, and then you'll twist the drum counterclockwise until the felt goes in between the 2 wheels, and it'll click into place. So keep on turning it until it really clicks in, and make sure the felt's not twisted on top. And be careful with your hands on the right hand side, you can easily cut them, so just take your time and be patient. So there, it clipped into place. So now we can install the belt. Get all this lint off, and we can slide the belt right over. So this belt looks fairly good, so we'll just keep it. If it's cracked or shredded, replace it. So the light brown, I just cut my finger a minute ago, so be careful. Yikes, that was a good one. Anyway, right there. This, you'll make sure the brown's shown on top, and you have like ribs underneath it. It's like black, so brown on top and black at the bottom, and make sure it's not twisted. And then you'll come in front of the pulley, and this is with one hand. 2 hands is easier because you can use your right to pull the belt over. So push with the pulley, and then you'll put the belt over the motor pulley, which the video explains itself. Just a little tough because it's hard to do with one hand. There we go. And that's it. So when the drum turns, that's what happens. Make sure this belt's in the middle of the pulley before you put the front on though. So let's clean this real quick. There we go. So here's the hole, and there's the clip. So the door has to come over top of this and slide down. So I use my shoulder to hold the lid up. If you don't have a hand, if you have a hand, someone can just hold it for you. Then you lift up on the tub as you go. I guess you'll put the door flush against the housing of the dryer, and it'll clip down at that little clip. Then you'll switch and do the same thing. Lift the tub back and lift up and slide it down. I use my foot to kind of press in, and then the drum will come over the felt. Then I use my hip to hold the door in as my shoulder holds the door up. This is, like I said, if you're doing it yourself. If you have someone helping you, it's a little easier, but sometimes you just don't have that help. So then I'm going to take my 5/16 bit and screw it in both sides. And then I'll reconnect my door switch because it won't start if you don't do that. So here are the 2 Phillips screws that we'll put back in. So when you put this in, make sure you hold the Phillips screws with your fingers as you gently screw down, because if it slips, it's going to go into that housing, the heater housing, I guess you would call it. And then you have to take the back off again, which you don't want to do. And put it in, and that's pretty much it. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, just leave in comments below. And have a good one. Thanks for watching.